Right here. So I'm working on the full wheel pose. I think most of my issue is now in my upper body strength, but I'm going to do a quick test. Then I'm going to do some strengthening exercises that'll help me. And then I'm going to do some stretching exercises after the strengthening exercises. But first, let's see where I start. I remember where I was last night to start with. Actually, I think this is even better off. Here we go. I got no arm strength at all. Okay. No, I got nothing. So that's would make these fun. So got a list of things I'm going to do here. Pike push-ups. All right. And down dog, right? Yeah. Okay. Oof, man. Okay. Wrist as well. Okay. So that actually simulates the pushing off right here, which is exactly where I need it. So that's perfect. So that's a star. Okay. So the dolphin pose. Dolphin pose. So let's see. Down dog. Down on the forearms. And then I'm gonna have to learn how to do this one. I'm sure this isn't right. Let me see if I do this. Handle bunny. Let's try that again. Oh, do a little research on that one. Next is, oh yeah, reverse chair push-ups. I can see how all these are going to contribute. Mm. I'm gonna regret that. Feels good. Sure, hope I'm doing these right. All right, well, got to try them. Got to do a little farming, figure out what works and doesn't work there. Okay, let's see. Next one is kind of like a green screen flying. Okay, now, I like that hinge there. It's the last thing. Oh yeah, foot bridges. It's not just like chest right there. Either as so, or interlace hands. Roll the shoulders up. Okay, okay, let's see. Whoa, that wasn't the stuff in there. Oh, okay. That was 35 seconds. Whew. All right. That was brutal, Mr. Chush. High lunges. All right. Well, not so certain about this, but I don't have any way to do that, do I? Not have any weights in here. Nope. Okay, so I can't do that one. All right. Now, gonna start into the stretching stuff and something I haven't done for a while. Gonna get closer here. So this is a wrist exercise. Now, one wrist exercise is reverse dog, external rotation, lateral rotation, down on the ground. And then maybe, you do this, you pull back, etc. But that's great. What about this? So what you can do is you do one at a time. So one hand points to you, lateral rotation, and the other one just flaps down, and you want some pressure on it, and then a timer. Now this is highly leveraged pose, so 3 minutes is pretty good. You can certainly go longer, but I haven't done this one for a long time, and so give myself an extra 5 seconds to get into the pose. Now, do not go up when you have one of your hands like my right hand. My left hand, like so, the ligaments engage. So this is actually a really supported stand. And I can go up into a down dog position. It's called reverse dog. Right hand, I'd break the wrist. Hey, could you get your tail out of my nose, please? Thank you. hmm Keep keep moving, sir. Now this is an asymmetrical pose. So I'm just gonna switch it after the timer is up. Boom. Oh man. Kitty's right in front of me. He just flopped down. I will back up a little bit. So maybe Kitty can get in the frame, but also so you can see see both my hands because you can barely see my hands. Of course, you know what chest no one's watching. Really? Okay. Being really impatient today. Oof, okay, come out really slow. Yeah, that was really good. That's hard on the wrists. Now, we'll come back a little bit, get something, and maybe you'll come a little bit closer, Mr. Chesterfer. Pull back. I want you to stimulate my vagus nerve, and this is what that's going to do. Got the vagus nerve coming through the neck, also down here in the belly. So when you take a breath in, expand your belly, you stimulate your vagus nerve, which upregulates parasympathetic nervous system, which calms you down, which makes you more likely to be able to deeply relax as you do long hold passive stretches. Okay, so I was just like this here and this here. So now I'm going to, so again, I'm here. My right hand is going to rotate laterally or externally. Let's set that down on the ground. And on the left hand, I'm going to simply point down and sit on the back of the wrist here. Be careful about this. Take it easy, take it slow, and moderate your body pressure to make sure you're not doing too much on either side. There, back up a little bit, so maybe you'll come flopping closer. Bit of a hot spot there. On the left hand, had to move it just a touch. Careful of hot spots. Prickly, pins and needles, depending how bad it is. And since we're only here for up to 5 minutes, it shouldn't be a problem. But hot spots, pressure points, not so much. Okay, now, okay, stop that timer. Okay, now I've just done a nice job stretching my wrists. Should I go back and try to do bridge pose? No, no, no. Last night I did bridge after stretching right here. So I did this thing called Jackknife Blaster, and it does a really nice job of stretching the thighs, which I noticed were really tight when I try to go into bridge. You don't use your thighs to get into or out of bridge. If they're tight, they'll stop you from getting into bridge. However, with bridge, I've got my hands like this, and I'm pushing off. Which what I just did with my wrist, not, I can't do that anymore tonight, so that's out. So anyway, just making that observation. I'm going to go ahead and continue stretching though. Uh, in fact, I might. Yeah, okay, I'll just do my own thing here. Hey, Chush, come here. I'm gonna go ahead and do Jackknife Blaster again because I just like that pose. And it's so long as you don't like really overdo it, because you can overdo it. You can do the same stretch day after day after day after day. But eventually, you might notice your muscles are like saying stop. And if they do that, then mix it up. Right now, though, I'm sort of spending my next few, I don't know, day, week, whatever, trying to get to a bridge pose. And the only reason I want to get into a bridge pose is because I can't get into a bridge pose. And then, okay, here we go. Okay, so you're probably down on the ground, something like this. My toes are touching the baseboards and my toes are touching the wall. That's a good place to start. Now, I'm going to lift my right foot and sort of slide it up the wall, but not too far. And then I'm going to push my knee in towards the wall. I want my knee touching the wall. That's essential. Knee touching wall. I like to put a pillow behind my foot. That's not necessary, or it is necessary. You try it out either way. Now, knee touching wall. This might be where you're at for a stretch right here. Now, I'm getting a cramp in my right foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something else first, and then I'm going to come back to this because that right foot sometimes does it. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for my right foot. I could do some trigger point massage, but I'm going to instead curl my toes under, and then I'm going to sit back on my heels, and I am going to stretch the heck out of my toes. Now I got to be careful here. If I'm in this pose for too long and my knees start to slide, then I might stretch my shins, and then that might make Jackknife Blaster pose a problem. Right now, what I'm just trying to do is I'm trying to get a good stretch into the arch of my foot here. So I've got that in a nice right there. There's the knot. Oh, yeah, surprise. There. Ooh, is that almost given in? Okay, now. Oh, my toes are really curled under. Okay. Now I'm going to just curl my toes the other direction. Sit back, flatten my feet, see how my right foot feels. Feels okay. Let's see if that did the trick or not. All right. Once again. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to primarily stretch right here. Could be a little bit lower, could be higher, depends on where you're tight and depends on where your body is. But what we're ultimately trying to do is we're trying to get it so that from here to here is sort of straight and almost like flopping out like this. And that's where we're going to get the stretch. And I'm going to use a bench to support myself. So again, I'm on the floor, tabletop. My toes are touching the wall. I'm going to take my my right foot, and I'm going to lift it up the wall and slide my knee back. Let's see, how's that doing? Much better? Yep, that's much better. Okay, now, again, you might be here, that's fine, but and it depends on how much you sit and how much you've worked on stretching the front of your body. But notice when you're stretching the front of your body, you're helping your back more than the front. So right there, I'm getting a bit of a stretch. I'll go ahead and start my timer there. And I'm going to use this. Yep, there we go. A block would be really good there as well. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting pressure on the top, above, not on my knee, but just above my knee. And I'm using this, and then I'm allowing the front of my body to sort of collapse forward. It doesn't look like it's moving. It feels like it is. So I've got a really nice stretch on my right thigh. Now, throughout these long poses, sort of check in. Like if your arm gets a little bit tired, my arm's going to get tired eventually. That's fine. Move around a little bit, play with it. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put this here. Do that. Now I can really drop my hip and get a great stretch on the entire front of my thigh. Hello, Mr. Chesterford. How you doing, buddy? I can't do that. Ooh, no, I cannot do that. That's way too much movement on this pose. Sorry, buddy. This is a highly leveraged pose, which means you're targeting one muscle or a very small area. And so it's a little goes a long way on this one. 5 minutes is a long time on this pose. 3 minutes is really good. I mean, 2 minutes is great. What do you think I'm down here to pet you? Yeah, Okay, one side down, another side to go. Asymmetrical poses. If you're tight, especially tight on one side, do it longer. Maybe if you do one side for 3 minutes, do the other side for 4 minutes, maybe 4.5 minutes. Maybe 50% longer, maybe add a minute. Add 30 seconds if that's what you can do. But don't skip a side. If it's asymmetrical, do both sides. That will mess you up more. So yeah, don't skip a side. What if you can't stretch? What if you can't do deep poses? Can you move through a full range of motion or a fuller range of motion? So maybe work through full range of motion without any kind of weight and eventually work your way back up. Okay, so once again, I've got my shins on the ground, my toes are touching. I'm going to lift my left foot and slide it up the wall. And then as I get close, I'm going to sneak a pillow behind my foot. There we go. Knee touching wall, essential, knee touching wall. And right here, this is a good pose already. Notice I haven't got my foot up yet. It's about how the pose feels, not how it looks. If props help you do a pose, props are awesome. Okay, so now, there we go. Oh, wow. That's a bit much. That was too much. So let's come back a little bit. Leg up is fine. Torso, not so much up. You might respond differently. You got to just sort of feel. The great thing is if you spend time, like right now, I've got my eyes closed and I'm sort of focusing in on the part of my body that's feeling stretched. I'm also getting a bit of a hot spot. There we go. I gotta fix that. Okay. My I was on at a weird position on the wall. Uh, so by focusing my mind's eye in on that spot that I'm feeling it and really sort of feeling the contours and trying to understand where it's hitting or it's not, I'm working on my sense of interoception, the internal state of being, as opposed to proprioception. So, for example, how does the pressure of my knee interacting with the floor? What about my left hand? I'm using the pointer finger and the social finger or the middle finger to give myself support so I don't break the bones. My elbow on my right is getting support from just below, and then I'm putting this on my head, which allows me to sort of relax a bit more. So now that I've been here for a while, and possibly raise my torso. There we go. It's a nice stretch right there. Really nice stretch. So, bit of a pressure spot on my left hand, so I'm going to do this. Haven't got myself out of the pose at all. Still in the pose. There we go. So in Tai Chi, we have this principle called empty stepping. For empty stepping, whatever foot is moving, there's no pressure on it. So if I'm going to change my foot from straight ahead to 45 degrees, the first thing I do is I move my weight to the other foot, and then I can move the foot that is now empty. The equivalent here is when I'm going to shift myself, I'm going to make sure that I've got support, say on another hand. Now I've got myself holding, so now I can take this hand and notice I never got out of the pose. So you can use that kind of thinking to sort of allow yourself to shift and move in poses without disrupting yourself too much. Shaking, moving, talking, they take you out of the pose a bit. Not sure how to hold this. Oh, wait, it's like this. All right. Ooh, that's a bit much. Is that right? Okay. Now, hip flexors are another thing that I have been stretching a bunch lately. It's a bit pressure on my knee. The next pose I'm going to do is apparently controversial, or at least it's hit or miss for some people. Now, it can hurt the knees, so if it hurts your knees, don't do it. But if I just show you what the pose looks like, but I tell you what I'm actually doing, it's going to be possibly two different things. Let me use some pillows. These slide on the carpet. They don't need to slide that much. Knees are like so. My feet are turned out, so I'm actually taking my feet and rotating them laterally. So I'm like lying here on both legs. Now you can spread your knees as far as you spread them, but the secret here is then, once you've done that, to sit back into it. Now, when I say sit back into it, I'm actually doing a squat. Looks like this. Lateral rotation of the feet. Now, see if I can do this without falling. I'll use the wall for cheat. And then I'm coming into it, and for me, it's going to hit my hip flexors. Like here, I'm getting a lot of pressure on hip flexors. So I'm doing the same thing, except I can do this now and relax into it and stretch the heck out of my hip flexors. So I'm going to do that. I've got to consider though, do I want to do pigeon first? And then I'm going to do pigeon first. Okay, so I am going to do that, but I want to do pigeon first because I think it might be useful. Do I need a mat? I almost never use a mat. Here, so let me do this. There we go. Now, for those of you who are OCD, of course, that's not very many of you. So was watching. There. Okay. Pigeon. Now, don't want some elevation. Might want some blocks. And I'll probably want this one or two of those. Just in case. That's overkill. Alexa, volume one. I'm going to be here a while. You might want, for example, just a little bit of support here. That just a little bit sort of helps me stay a little more stable. I'm going to need more so on my left side than my right side. Now, right now, my torso is kind of up. I might want to raise my torso even more because that pushes weight down here and it deepens the stretch on the outside of my hip, as well as it's really working on this internal rotation. I'm going to push back more. My left foot is pointing back, so it's plantar flexion pointing as opposed to dorsiflexion going back. My left hamstring, sorry, cancel that. My left hip flexor is getting a nice stretch, but if I want to get a better stretch on my hip flexor, I think. And honestly, Hero's a better hip flexor stretch anyway. Yeah, that's right there, big on the hip flexor. Let's see. Yeah, it's hard to hold, so I'm not going to because I can do it with Hero. So now I'm going to come a little bit lower. Yeah, if you're banging your head against me, dude. No, 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 I'm gonna be slow. There you go. Okay, no, no, stop. Not now. Stop. Stop, please. Oh, oh, that was good. Had tingling in my scalp there. My right foot might be giving me some more trouble here. Give it a bit of a stretch for just a second. All right, here we go. Side two. Oh boy. Oh, oh, yeah. All right. All right. I think that's about all I'm going to do. I was going to do, yeah, I'll do hero just a little bit here. I really need to get to bed. That's the one that Penny chewed. That's fine. Okay, now once again, I'm gonna slide my knees apart, however far. To me, that's the less interesting part of this pose. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my feet turned externally, and then I'm going to start to sit back in. And right there, I'm feeling my hip flexor on the right side more than my left. And eventually it'll give. I'm going to go ahead and come out a little bit. Spread my knees a little bit further. Now, if you just do the knee thing, it's going to kind of hurt your knees. But I'm not really getting my knees too far apart because for me, I'm trying to right there. I've got the groin. Right there, I've got the psoas muscle really just sort of sitting there saying, what are you doing to me? That's really deep. Oh, okay. I mean, it wasn't a 5 minute thing, but still, that was more than enough to get a really good stretch. I can feel a lot. Give it there. That was a good round. Good night. Might be more like this. Yeah, not stable enough.